then we should be good to go. Awesome. Okay, so the Bushbeads Premium Hardwax Brazilian Wax Demo. We will just do a quick little introduction. So you guys have already heard my voice for a little bit, but I'm the brand marketing manager here at Bushbalm Pro. So I will be kind of leading and moderating you through this call. And then we have Miss Kim, who is our Bushbalm in-house esthetician. She's waving her hands right there. And very, very soon she will be taking over this call. But those are the two names from this call. So Bushbeads, we did launch Bushbeads back in September of 2024. So it is still our little baby and it's very, very new. And I'm sure lots of you maybe haven't used Bushbeads yet, but are really interested in using it. So we're super excited to kind of tell you all about it and explain why it's set apart from other waxes on the market. Just for show of hands here, who has already used Bushbeads Hardwax? You can use the hand function. Okay, awesome. So we already have a few people that have already used Bushbeads, which is absolutely incredible. I love to see that. You guys can all put your hands down now. Thank you so much, though. So there are a few call outs that we love about the Bushbeads. It's unscented, it's hypoallergenic, it has a quick drying formula, which, makes your waxes fast. And then it also has a gel-like consistency. So a lot of estheticians have explained our wax to be a hybrid consistency. Kind of gives you that gel and creamy mix. So if that's what you're into, you would absolutely love Bushbeads. It has a low melting point, which just means that you don't have to, get to your salon 2-3 hours in advance to melt your wax. Your wax will actually melt quite quickly. And then it's transformative. So it applies on kind of clear and then dries up to be like a beautiful white color when it's ready to be removed. And also we love that the wax is white, so you can really see all of the roots from the hairs. So it's just fun to watch. Kim is going to go through the whole Bushbalm routine from start to finish, but I just wanted to quickly help you guys visualize what that Bushbalm routine looks like. So we are going to be incorporating our intimate wipes, our Bushbeads wax. Kim may or may not do a little Vajacial add-on if she has time, but you can always include that. You always want to finish your service with post-service oil. And then finally, you want to send your client home with some aftercare so they can continue with their routine. So when you think about the Bushbalm routine, you can kind of visualize it to look like this. Now, enough from me, and I'm going to pass it off to Miss Kim, and she's going to dive right into the demo. Ready, Kim?
I am ready. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you to everybody who has logged in. I am very excited to be hosting this along with Kiana and Bushbalm Pro fam. So everybody, just thank you for coming and being here. My name is Kimberly. You may or may not know me, but I go by Wax Junkie on Instagram. I've been a licensed esthetician for 15 years. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but yes, 15 years. And I've been waxing for about 13 of those years. I do specialize in Brazilian waxing and Vajacials here in Los Angeles, California, in the San Fernando Valley. And it is literally what I run my business on and what I love to do. So this is a huge passion of mine. So to be able to be here with you guys and, kind of do this demo and talk a little bit about Bushbeads wax and why I love it and why I actually love Bushbalm in general. Really happy to share that with you guys. So if you guys have any questions, like Kiana mentioned earlier, I really am just here to help. So if you have a question, raise your hand, put it on the chat, come off mute. And that way we can just have a full discussion as we're working. And I'm going to turn on my other camera now. So we're going to do 2 angles today. So I'm going to be here talking to you guys. At the same time, I'm going to have my other camera facing my beautiful model today. So we do have a really great model here with us today, and she's gonna let us record and let us use her to showcase the Bushbeads Hardwax. So Valentina has been my model before, and she has been getting wax with me for a while now as well. So you may not see a big bush, which is just something that if someone who's been waxing for a long time is not going to have a lot of hair, but we'll see in the future. Maybe we can convince her to grow it out a little longer. So we're going to get started. I'm going to turn on that camera angle now. So if you guys can give me a quick second, let me just come back around and do that. If you guys have any questions, please feel free.
Awesome, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pin both of Kim's screens to the call. And I did set it so it pins for everybody. So hopefully that works. If it doesn't, just shoot me a message in the chat here. But also somebody did just call out Alyssa. She said you guys can pin her screen as well if you'd like to. So just a call out there.
Okay, so I see everything looks good. We're gonna now have Valentina go into butterfly pose. So I just want to warn everybody before we do that. Let me just make sure the camera's at a really good angle. I just want to make sure everybody's getting the full experience with me. And we're just gonna get our SMA ready. So if you don't know, sanitary maintenance area. So anything you touch from here on, you want to make sure you're wearing gloves and you're keeping your workspace nice and sanitary and clean. So we're going to put our gloves and we're going to start. Okay. So my favorite way to prep the skin will always be to use the Intimate Refreshing Wipes. And the reason I love these is because not only will they hydrate the skin, it cleanses, but it's a pH balance wipe, which is what a lot of our clients are looking for, is using products that are going to be safe for their vulva and make sure that you're keeping their pH nice and safe. Okay. So it's a really nice sized wipe. I love these. So we're just going to take it now and we're going to cleanse her. I have these in like our bathroom, or like example, I have them in my room available for my clients to use it before their appointment. So we're going to go ahead and open the labia. So make sure that you are being gentle with your client. And we're going to go ahead and clean the sides of her labias now. I'm very comfortable with clients because I've been doing this for such a long time. But if you are a little uncomfortable or new, you can always just basically like tell them what you're doing. That way they know everything you're doing is appropriate to the wax and to the experience of receiving a Brazilian wax. Okay. So next we're going to take our nude oil. This is the back bar oil, but it does also come in the Bermuda oil. So these are my favorite oils for back bar. A little bit goes a long way. So you could just put like 2 or 3 little drops. Sorry, it's like not coming out. There it goes. And then you're going to take a cotton round and you're just going to go ahead and move that along the body, get it nice and hydrated. And the reason we love these oils is because they come in a back bar version, they come in retail version, and it's a really great way to prep the skin and get your client ready for pre and post waxing. So we're just going to go ahead and dry the skin. At this point, you could use talcum powder, not talcum, sorry, cornstarch powder only. And the reason being is because the cornstarch will just dry the skin. But right now, I feel like because of the weather, it's been a little bit like cold and the skin's a little dehydrated. So I don't feel like I need cornstarch right now. So next we're going to get into the waxing portion. So we're going to go ahead and use the Bushbeads Hardwax. And honestly, love this wax. It's been a game changer in my room. My clients have noticed the difference. And I myself love the fact that the dry time is really quick. It's also just very safe to use on the skin, which I always appreciate, especially when I'm working with sensitive clients. And the full wax itself is just really nice. So we're going to lay on the top, which is the mons pubis. And we're just going to work with the body and the hair. So if you're a new waxer, don't ever feel shy or embarrassed if you don't know like the precise layout of how to lay strips yet, or if your strips don't look beautiful. That is completely okay. We all have to start somewhere, and sometimes just practice is gonna help. So bring you to consistency of your wax strips. Okay. So I like to work on one side and then I'm also working on another side. So it's called the lay one, pull one strip method. So that way you always have a strip on the body. And this is what makes the whole wax go a little bit quicker. As you can see, the wax is already cooled off. You don't hear the wax being tacky. And you want to tell your client to take a deep breath in and then breathe out. You could do the breathing method with them and you want to apply some pressure. You could see she did have some hair there, but not a lot, but still lifted all of it. It looks really healthy, really good. And other reasons I really love this wax is it does really feel like a premium hard wax. It just feels very, it's just like a creamy consistency. And I like that it's hypoallergenic as well. And it's unscented. So all of these things are really important as a waxer because you want to make sure your client's safety is key. And also while you're waxing, keep checking the temperature of your wax. I put it down right now so you could see it's a little bit cool, but either way, it was still able to lay a nice strip. So I kind of compare like a wax pot to a crock pot or something like that, where you have to make sure the consistency is nice. So that way, when you're pulling the wax out of the pot, it just basically looks like cake batter or like very honey thick consistency. You're always able to also check the wax. You could do a patch test on your arm and take a deep breath in, breathe out. Apply that pressure. As you can also see, the wax was laying there for a little longer and it didn't break. So that's another thing that I really love about the wax is that it's just nice and the quality is always going to be top tier. So we're going to go ahead and pull this one. I know we're going to leave one strip at one point, but let's just get these strips off. And you can see that cleanup strip did really well. Okay. So how many of you guys on here are already waxing Brazilians? I just want to know if this is something you're already doing or are you interested in learning more? Kind of will help me as well to kind of cater to this class to make sure everybody here is comfortable or they're new or have they been doing this. So we're going to go over.
We have 15 hands up for about 10 to 15 hands up for people who are already offering Brazilians.
Beautiful. And are you guys offering Vajacials? Is this something that you guys are doing or are interested in Vajacials? Okay.
Lots of interest for the Vajacials as well.
Yes. Okay. So hopefully we get a chance to lay that mask at the end. And I'll give you guys a little breakdown of what I do really quickly. So right now, because I heated up the wax, now we got this wax a little bit warm. So anytime this happens, don't do what I'm doing. Don't twiddle over your client, but definitely make sure you're twiddling it. Make sure you're looking at the wax. If it is moving at a pretty good pace, it's safe to put on the skin. But again, this is just something that I, over the years, have figured it's pretty safe for me to do so. Okay, so we're gonna lay the strip. And we're going into the labia now. So as you can see, I'm pulling her skin up a little bit to hold it taut, to create that nice taut skin. And you just want to roll it on over. And so now we're going to go ahead and pull the top again. This is a cleanup strip. Take a deep breath, Valentina, and breathe out. So cleanup strips also I've mentioned in the past. I'm not sure if you've ever been in my class before, but I don't tend to pull the cleanup strips very harsh very quickly. I call it the stagger technique. And the reason being is because sometimes these hairs are a little stubborn and you want to kind of just stagger it lightly. I would never stagger on a first strip, only on cleanup strips, okay? And so right now we're going to wait for that labia to be nice and dry. There's nothing worse that you can do is to pull a strip that's not ready. The reason being is you could pull on the skin, you could bruise the client, you can pull the hair incorrectly. And overall, in general, it makes it for a very uncomfortable experience. But again, I know we've all been there. I mean, I've been there before where I prematurely pulled a strip and it was a little uncomfortable for the client. But with that being said, that's why you want to wait till it's nice and dry. Okay. So this is a really great opportunity also for you to plug in your retail. So if the hairs, if you notice, are not lifting as quickly or as, you know, beautiful as you want it to, this is when you could be like, Valentina, are you doing your self-care at home. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing, things like that. So Valentina, are you doing your self-care?
You always put me on the spot.
And clients will feel like that. They'll giggle a little bit. You can kind of tell, even though for the most part, you can kind of tell from the wax strips by seeing the dead cells on the wax strips. I've posted those before where you can see the dead skin cells. But this is a good opportunity for you to just make that connection with your client and let them know or ask them if they're doing anything at home. So let's just say, pretend like if you want and tell me, no, I haven't been.
No, I haven't.
Okay. And that's fine, Valentina. I know sometimes we get a little bit busy and life just happens. But remember to exfoliate 3 times a week. And the reason being is because you want to remove those dead skin cells to be able to help that new hair grow out. Okay. Take a deep breath in, breathe out. And see, this is when you can kind of pull that strip, give yourself a second, and then we're going to look at that strip. Of course. Looks really, really good. And so, yeah, Valentina, so 3 times a week. I think you could fit that in if you try a little bit, and your waxing results would be so much cleaner as well. And also, if you're looking to help prevent ingrown hairs further, you can use an oil after every shower. So if you're looking for brightening, I would say Bermuda oil. If you're looking for just concentrating on ingrown hairs, we can use the nude oil. But we do have options available for you, okay? So if you have any questions on your self-care routine, please let me know. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and lay the neck strips. So we got the mons pubis back up, and then we're going to do the labia folds as well. But as you can see, like I always tell people not to feel bad about their wax strips because sometimes my wax strips aren't the prettiest, but this is also a really great example of like how thin I laid it here, and other waxes would break. It would break completely. And you'll be to my surprise, like it never breaks, which I'm always really happy about. Take a deep breath. And there you go. So you could see how thin comparison the wax was here to here. It didn't budge. It stayed strong throughout the whole time, and it's still very nice and tacky, as you can see. So I could have even let that dry a little longer. So this is, again, a really great wax if you want to be a speed waxer or if you just want to like take your time with waxing and you're new.
Miss Kim, we do have a question from Kendra. She's asking, she's a newbie with Brazilians, and for thicker hair, do you normally trim it down first?
I'm not the type that trims, but if you want to, and if that's comfortable for you, you are welcome to do so. I would just suggest using the little trimmers that kind of are slanted upward. That way you don't nip your client. Okay. Which I have some, I'll show them to you guys right now. But those are the type that I would suggest because I wouldn't want you to cut your client, especially when there's a lot of hair. You can't see what's going on and it's a little tricky. So I would suggest buying the proper scissors that you need for that. I don't trim. Basically what I do is I just like comb the hair to the side. And so while I'm laying a strip, I'll just leave my hand there and then I'll leave the strip like this. Like I'll comb the hair. I know it sounds kind of wild, but it's what works best for me. So these are the scissors. You see how they kind of go a little bit upward and they have the safety clips on there too. So that's what I would suggest. Let's take a deep breath. Breathe out. Good job. So nice strip. You could see that there's still a little bit of hair, but for the most part, her hair lifted really beautiful. And now we're going down the mons pubis to the clitoral hood of the body. This is where I like to take my time, especially because I feel like a lot of people, when they're shaving or trimming or anything like that, this is the hardest part to get to the hair. So a lot of people, I feel like they appreciate when we get to this part and we want to make sure that the clitoris is nice and clean. So this is like a little trick I like to teach people. If you're new to waxing and you've never tried this, let me get another stick. I'm going to show you how to what's called daisy chaining. So basically there's times where, let's just say your client is very hairy towards the mons pubis to the clitoral hood. And it's not the best lift. So this is considered the lift, right? Like that's where the lifting part happens. What you're going to do is take a bit of a bit of wax and you're going to create a lift. And you want to do this ASAP, like really quickly, because the wax will dry. And you want to marry it onto them. So shiny side to shiny side. Let this wax dry. You're going to marry the shiny side to the shiny side, and you melt it gently. Take your thumb and you gently press down. Don't be rough here because this is going to be a little painful if you are. And then basically you go ahead and deep breath out. So it creates basically a nice chain. Okay. So that's like good for people who are barely starting. That's a fun trick. I'm the type of waxer that doesn't like when you pick with your stick. I know I've seen people do that before. If that works for you, that's fine. But one thing about me is I don't want my waxer like picking at the wax like this. Does anybody do that here? It's okay if you do, okay? I'm just letting you know that I think it's a little painful. But the daisy chain is probably a more safer method. So we're going to go ahead and lay the mons pubis all the way through. So since we've already done all our cleanups, this is the time where you can layer strips up, down, side, side. Just always make sure that you've done all the main strips correctly. And by doing that is you're following the hair, the growth of the hair. So you lay the strip on the way the hair is growing and you pull against it. If you start laying strips all over the place before you do that, basically you're just going to break the hair. It's not going to do what you want it to do. And honestly, you're just going to be in a lot of pain, or your client will be in a lot of pain if you do it to yourself. Okay. So we're going to twiddle our stick while I pull this. Take a deep breath. I'm a multitasker, so I could literally pull that and then like do this at the same time, but you don't have to do what I do. Okay. Any questions so far? We're going to start the cleanup process. So, how many Brazilians do you think you could do per bag of Bushbalm wax? I've been able to get about like 3 to 4 Brazilian waxes and maybe like 2 to 3 underarm waxes. I think it just depends on the body part that you're waxing. So I think I went through like, is it warm? A little bit. I think I went through about 20 bags of wax in like 1 week recently. I think that was during Valentine's weekend. And I had like, I don't know how many clients I had 100%, but it got me through. And it was really exciting to have all my clients trying out the wax at the same time. Everybody was just super excited, happy. They were really excited about the way the wax felt on their skin as well. So you can hear it's still a little tacky, but I want to also show you guys that you could pull it on tacky. And you saw that I was doing the stagger technique, and look at all that beautiful hair that's still lifted up. And one question I know I'm going to get is like how many times I go over the skin. I'm the type that like I just watch my client's skin to make sure it looks good. If she's not too pink or too like anything, her skin looks really normal, I'll go over it a few more times. But I know that the rule of thumb is like 2 to 3 times, and then you don't want to do it anymore. So just watch your client's skin and make sure that their skin looks really good. Okay. Are you doing okay, Valentina? She's such a great model. We have to give you a round of applause. And I already turned the wax down because it got a little warm. You could see the way it's gliding a little faster. So you want to also make sure you warn your client. We all know with cleanup strips, the wax could always feel warmer because that barrier of the hair is gone. So the wax always feels a little warmer on the skin. So like usual, make sure you're watching your wax. Turn your pot up and down. I know one of the questions we received recently here in Bushbalm was the temperature of the wax and how to like know. I think if you've been waxing for a long time, you don't need to check the bag for temperature. You don't even need to know the temperature on the wax pot. It's just looking at the wax, testing it out. I know it sounds like very mom and pop style cooking, but I do feel like it's the best way to go. It's just to look at your wax, learn the consistency. Each wax is so different on its own, and you're never going to have the same wax all the time. So it's just something that I've learned in my 13 years waxing. And see, I'm still twiddling it because it got a little warm. So now we want to go backwards on these strips. And we're going to do a backward strip here. Okay, guys. And I'm using the point technique. And see how like it's already been on the skin. It's already dry, but like you could still move it around. which is, again, just so true. I'm just always so fascinated by bush beads. I love it. Okay. Any questions? Am I missing anything, Kiana?
No, there was a question about Vajacials. I was going to keep it until we performed it, but I feel like we have time to talk about it now. Vanessa is asking, how would we perform a Vajacial with steam if that's something we want to offer? Would the steam be before or after the Vajacial?
So that is like one of the most, again, controversial topics for Brazilian waxing and Vajacials. That's why when we talk about it, I know I post on my page that I do steam. I personally have never had an issue with it. I use a ozone layered steamer. So it's basically throwing out sterile steam. And we only do it for about 10 minutes or less. You do not have to put steam on the skin. I repeat, you do not have to. You can use the Bushbalm hydrogel mask without the steam. So that is completely up to you. My version of the Vajacial is right after we're done waxing, we do a quick cleanse, high frequency. So you take your high frequency wand, and again, make sure all the contraindications, your client doesn't have any contraindications to it. And basically you do the high frequency for about like what, a minute or less. And then you apply the mask and you could steam the skin for about 5 to 10 minutes. After the steam, you take the mask off, you perform extractions. And then from there, you can use the back bar oil. And then you can go ahead and do a cold glow. The cold glow for me is just basically to help cool the skin off, to close down those pores. Again, the steam is optional. You could do all of the same that I just mentioned, but avoid the steam if you'd like. So I hope that makes sense. I know I've done my research on it. I feel like it's safe, but it's up to you. As the pro, as the esthetician, this is definitely something that you have to decide and see if you want to do it. You can always test on clients or friends and let them know this is something you're trying out. So that was a cleanup, but she barely had any hair, so it was just to make sure. I know that if I do the next one, it's probably do the same thing, but we're just gonna clean it up because we want our clients to be satisfied. After this trip, we'll move on.
Just to clarify with the steam, you do the steam while the Vajacial mask is on the skin.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. But I always get really nervous talking about steaming after a Brazilian because it is something that we are taught in school not to put steam. 24-hour rule, no hot tub, no sauna, no pool, no intimacy. So it's kind of like going against what we say or what we've been taught. But again, I truly believe because we're doing the high frequency, it's killing the bacteria, bringing down inflammation, and the ozone layer of the steam. And then the ingredients packed in the mask as well. So we got hyaluronic acid, green tea extract, aloe vera. So we're using ingredients that are going to help to hydrate the skin, calm the skin, soothe the skin, and just hydrate in general. I feel like a lot of women in this intimate area lack hydration in the skin. And again, that's super normal. And that's why we're here to teach people how to take care of their bodies and how to properly care for themselves. A lot of women aren't taught that growing up. So it's kind of nice to be that person where they feel comfortable asking you these kind of questions. Okay, breathe. We stagger that one. I feel like that's the best we're going to get on the top. She still has some tiny ones, but they look flat. And then she's telling me to move on. She's like, it's okay, girl. Like, we're good here. So I'm going to take the wax that I had left on my table. Usually I throw it out, but today we left it all on the table. You could stretch your legs out, relax them. I always have my client relax her legs before she goes into knees to chest, just because you just never know. Someone could be a little sore. Someone could be feeling a little tight from staying that way. And now we're going to move my camera angle, okay? So we're going to go ahead and have you go knees to chest when you're ready. And here we are in my room. And then when you're ready, go knees to chest. So this is the butt strip portion of the wax. Is that comfortable? Can you guys see?
Yes, we can see. Perfect.
Cool. And don't be shy to tell your client, okay, love, you're going to go ahead and open up a little more, try to help her, and then you're going to wipe. If you feel like someone's dehydrated back here, you can grab a little bit of oil to help the skin, okay? Always make sure that you are being careful in the back, because I know that it's the least painful part of the wax, but also a lot of people have like very dehydrated skin. You could be dealing with hemorrhoids, you could be dealing with pregnancies. So just always be very mindful of the clients, okay? Watch their body language. If you feel like they're starting to shake or they're a little bit uncomfortable, offer them a different position. They could get on their left side, they could get on fours. But always just watch their body language. I feel like that's the easiest way to tell if your client is comfortable or not. And again, this is just years and years and years of experience of doing what I've been doing. I've noticed how to catch these little things that are important. And then you're going to tell her to take a deep breath and you're going to pull it. Nice. She did have a little bit of hair in there. Now let's do the other side. So I don't overlap these right away. It just depends on the client, depends on the hair. You can always do a double strip at the same time. So let's just say it was the first strip. Let's do the other side as well. And it almost looks like a butterfly. So again, just making sure the wax is not too warm. And we're going to lay it. You can always be generous too. If you see they have a little hair on the side of the booty, try to bring it all the way through the side right here. So we're going to pull this one. Again, I wouldn't overlap if you're new or if you want to practice, go for it. But I would just say, and we're going to daisy chain. I would just say be careful lapping them because you could pull on the skin and it could be very uncomfortable for the client. And this is going to be the last strip. At this point, you are welcome to congratulate your client and tell her you've got one more strip coming. We're almost done. Hang in there. Ask them if they need a second. Again, this is all just going to add to the comfort of your client. And this is what makes them want to come back to you is the fact that you care about their comfort and you're asking them if they're doing all right. So this is the one where I say I overlap. So this is where we're trying to get all the way into the bunny tail, which is like the butt bone, backbone. If you do have someone who's not very flexible, you can have them turn to their left side at the end and then hold their butt hold their buttocks up, and then you just get into the center of that area. So anytime I touch this area, I always want to make sure it's just to be dry. So we're going to pull it. We're going to shiny side Mary. And then we're going to go ahead and be careful with the area right here because that skin could be very sensitive. Grab all the rest of your wax and then have your client go back to butterfly pose. And we're going to cleanse her one more time, okay? This is why I love having the back bar wipes because I go through these like crazy. And we're going to just...
We have a question. Wait, first off, Kim, will you have time to do a Vajacial mask?
Yeah, we can add it on. We're here.
Okay. Perfect. In that case, Andrea, I know you have a Vajacial question, but I'm going to wait until Kim starts the Vajacial to ask that. A question from Gabriella. We know that you obviously like to apply the oil on the skin prior to the wax to lift the hairs. She's just asking, do you find the oil affects how good the wax adheres to the skin?
I feel like if you use too much, it'll definitely kind of like roll the wax. And that's why I personally would say like using a little cornstarch powder could help. But if you don't want to use powder, you don't need to. Just grab another like Kleenex and kind of like re-wipe it down a little bit. So that way it's not so thick. Because you might be using too much. That's why maybe like 1 or 2 pumps is good. You don't need to use more than that. A little bit goes a long way with the back bar oils. And that part too, like maybe let's just say you're trying to promote like summer vacay oil. Instead of using the back bar that you already used to prep, maybe close it out with okay, so I have this new product. It's called Summer Vacay. This is like one of their in-house like esthetician edition products. So it is a very exclusive product that only you could buy here with me. And that way they could test it out on their skin and smell it and all that good stuff. So it's like, again, a really good way for you to plug in the product while they're still on your table. But so let's just pretend right now, we're moving on to the Vajacial, right? So let's just pretend we're going to do some high frequency. So you're going to grab your wand, you're going to perform that high frequency. And then after that, you're going to put on the mask. Okay. So here's the
question. Wait, sorry. Question about high frequency from Andrea.
Okay.
Do you use high frequency for every Vajacial as a preventative or only if they have ingrown hairs?
For every person.
Okay.
The only time I don't do it is if they're pregnant, have an autoimmune disorder, heart conditions, things like that. So you want to make sure they're not nursing, anything like that. So it should be in your intake form and all that stuff already, but I always ask no matter what. Cool. So here are the two masks. My holy grail. This is why I love Bushbalm as well. It's become my one-stop shop at this point. And it's just such a nice thing to be able to go to one place and get all your products. It makes inventory a lot easier as well. So we're gonna open the mask so you can see it's open, and we're gonna pull out the sheet. It is wrapped inside, so you have to bring it out. And the reason being is it's infused with these ingredients, okay? So you can kind of feel which one it is. It's the nice thick one, and this is the triangle. It's gonna feel a little cold, so just warn your client. Good job, Valentina. And you want to just like tuck it in wherever it needs to be tucked in. And I still go inside of the actual bag. And if there's a little bit more liquid, I will bring that liquid out. We don't want to waste any of this. This is like, oh, look at that, guys. So beautiful. Her skin is about to be glowing, and she's going to be so happy. And she's going to go tell all her friends and family about her experience with you. Okay.
Kim,
So-
we do get this question a lot actually. Do you find when you're performing a Brazilian and including the Vajacial as an add-on, is the triangle piece enough typically, or do you always include the side strips as well?
I always think it's like it just has to do with the body of the person. Like Valentina is pretty petite, so if I really wanted to bring this mask a little lower, I could, and it'll pretty much cover like also her inner thigh a little bit. See?
Mhm.
But if you wanted to save these, you could save it. And other ways you could use it are like recently I did a brow wax, and I left it on my client's brow. Underarms, you could do this on the underarm, a stomach strip. It just depends. Like I really do feel like there's a lot of great ways to use this mask, and I feel like it's not talked about enough. And I feel like don't waste your product. Make sure you're using it correctly. But you can use it as an add-on to, like I said, underarms. It does come into the side strips, and you could use it for like an eyebrow. And see that extra liquid? I just go ahead and like put it on her body. Okay, so you let it sit for 10 minutes. At this point, if you wanted to, you could steam. This is where I would steam. So 5-10 minutes if you don't want to do too much. Take the steam off, remove the masks. You do extraction, so you could do it manually or with your tweezers or however you do it. And then I'll grab a little bit of the back bar oil or whichever oil I'm trying to promote. And I'll grab a cold glow from our mini fridge, and then we'll close out the pores. So there you have it.
We do have a question from Core. They are just asking, obviously we've demonstrated this wax on Brazilians, but do you also use it on like the back, legs, arms?
Absolutely. I feel like it's very versatile. And I love that a little bit goes a long way with the wax as well. I feel like I don't need to do as many cleanup strips with the wax. So I would highly suggest trying it on different body parts. I would do more content with things like that, but I personally only wax Brazilian, so it's a little harder for me. But I have tried it on my underarms, on my face, like upper lip, chin. I've done like patch testing on my arms, and it's always really great. I feel like it grabs like the peach fuzz as well. Can you use a hot towel over the Vajacial mask? Yeah, that would be good too. But again, I think for me, I like the steam because I'll turn off the lights. I'll let them lay there for a bit, play some music. It just becomes a very spa-like treatment. And this is a good time where you can add on like an underarm wax. You could do a scalp massage. You could do just little different things to relax your client a little bit more while they're just laying there for 10 more extra minutes. So that's something that I would suggest to give it more of a spa environment feel. How much do I charge for the Vajacial? So I charge $70 here in California for a Brazilian wax, and then it's another $35 for a Vajacial, just because it does add on about 30 minutes to my service. I block out 30 minutes for Brazilian wax. That's my preference. I know some people block off a little less, but it's for me, I like to make sure my client is feeling, relaxed, not overwhelmed with the waxing, especially if she's a first timer or she's pregnant, or just very sensitive. And then after that, it adds on another 30 minutes because I'm doing the high frequency, the 10-minute steam, the extractions. So all of that can add on about 20 to 25 minutes. But the biggest reason why I love the hydrogel mask is the cleanup time. It cuts it in half. I used to use the hydro jelly masks. That was such a messy experience for both the client and esthetician. It was just a very messy experience. And I felt that it was like a little unprofessional sometimes to let my client go home with like mask on her, just because I would try really hard to take it off. And you just don't want to rub on the skin too much after a wax. And I just started to find that it was very uncomfortable for me as even the esthetician. So these, you just peel them off and you throw it away. They're not reusable. It's completely safe to just take it off and remove it and move on. So that's like one of the biggest reasons, because it does cut some of your time in half and it's easy to clean up. And not only that, but you can retail these masks. So if your client is in a hurry, she needs to go home, she doesn't have time for a Vajacial, but she wants the experience of a Vajacial, you can sell them the triangle and the side strips to take home. Okay, guys? I saw a question. I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh yeah, so it was 35 to answer your question for the Vajacial add-on. And again, that's my demographic here. I know I could probably charge a little more, but for me, I feel like that's a pretty fair price point. Okay. Oh, how much will we sell them for? I believe it's $16.
If you decide to sell it as the pair, Andrea, the retail cost would be $16. That's the MSRP price that we have. Depending on your location, depending on your clientele, if you wanted to sell the set for $20, you totally could. But the wholesale cost for you for the pair ends up being $8. So to ensure you're making the profit, we always suggest 16.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I'm trying to see if I caught up with everybody.
I think you have. I'm kind of curious, and maybe everybody can drop this in the comments, but how much is everybody charging for a Brazilian? I know, Kim, you charge 70 in California. And would you say that's on the lower side in California, or that's pretty standard?
I feel like it's pretty standard. I'm pretty smart about what I charge because I look at the competitors near me. So like, for example, the biggest chain is European Wax Center. I believe they charge here in Cali $76. So I think it's 70 something. I'm not 100% sure how the last time I checked, but I wanted to stay within that range because anybody could go anywhere at this point to get a wax. So I want to make sure I'm pretty fair. So I think that if you were to look and see in the future, I would say to look and see around you how much people are charging. Also considering if you're using hard wax, to me, I feel like hard wax is a little bit more, it's just a little more to keep in inventory as far as soft wax goes. I don't like soft wax for Brazilians, but if you're using soft wax for body parts, that's definitely different. But if you're doing intimate waxing, I would say to charge up a little bit more because it's a service on not everybody offers a really great, rate. And not only that, but like how good are you at waxing as well. So I see it's pretty fair. It's anywhere from $50 to $70, I'm seeing.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like everyone is pretty on par. I hope I'm not butchering her name, but Sharonda She has $60 for first-time clients, and then she drops it for $50 for returning clients. So that's like a cool little, like a tactic and strategy to ensure that people do come back, every 4 to 6 weeks.
Absolutely. I like that idea.
I see some go through the opposite where they charge less for first time and more for the second.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they'll charge 60 and they'll charge 80 for the I see
Oh.
something.
That's good though.
Like a first-timer discount.
Yeah, like a first time discount and then like going up to your normal rate after that.
Yeah, that's fun.
So we're
Okay,
gonna
thank you,
start with the
everybody,
cooling
for
off right now. I'm just getting the cold glow that we store in our mini fridge. You could start kind of like rubbing it on top of the mask. And this is where you could also reassure your client, like make sure you're coming in every 4 to 6 weeks. Please, make sure you're doing your self-care routine. And in general, just catch up with your client. And so let's just peel this off so you can see how quickly the cleanup time will be. I usually grab it from the bottom and I peel it off like that. And then again, this is a great opportunity for you to promote any products that you're offering in your suite or your studio. Right now, I'm going to be telling her a little bit about summer Vajacial oil, and we're going to put that cold globe again and rub the rest of that product in. And at this point, if your client needs extractions as well, this is a good opportunity to do extractions or tweezing. Do you want me to tweeze you? No?
If you want to, for the viewers,
We all know our clients do not love to be tweezed, okay? I don't know.
if they want to see it, yeah.
It's so funny. But I myself, when I'm on the table, I don't want to be tweezed either, but we could just get a couple over so you guys can see. Oh yeah, you need extractions. She's like, am I gonna
And
extract?
we have a question from Angelica. So is the $35 that you charge for the triangle and the 2 side strips?
Correct.
Yes.
And again, you don't have to use the side strips. You could always use them or save them for like a different service, especially if your client is like pretty petite and they don't need like the whole thing. You could always just save it. Or you could give it to them, offer it to them and take it home.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they could use it at home for their underarms as well.
yeah. So it's kind of nice, maybe like a little treat and say like, hey, I didn't use this on you today, but take it home with you. Try it out. Sometimes like even if it doesn't seem like you're giving it to her, she could feel like it's a little gift from you. Or put it in a bag like with the sample sizes of the oils if they're a first timer. There's little things you could do to make it feel exclusive and just make it feel nice and like a gift. And Valentina's done. I want to tweeze her more and do extractions, but I know she doesn't want me to. So I don't want to hurt her. And she's already been such a great sport. So thank you, Valentina. And see how beautiful like the skin has literally like, who would have thought after a Brazilian wax that our client's skin could look like this? I feel like sometimes when people get off the table and they go look in the mirror, they're so impressed with how their skin looks and glowy and hydrated that I feel like that's what keeps them coming back is the proper routine, the proper products, and also just having the proper wax to back up your whole service in general. I usually leave it pretty nice and hydrated here, but the rest I'll kind of like massage it in a little bit. That way the skin could soak it in. But these oils are really nice too because they're not very thick and they don't stay thick on the skin. They pretty much absorb pretty quickly. So I love that. And that's it. So we're all done.
Kim, there is one question that we missed, and it's from Kendra. Can you give an example of how you would incorporate selling scrubs or dry brushes for a shy person? She keeps forgetting to ask. I feel like
That's
one thing you
totally
said
okay.
earlier was like when you wax the client and you can see the dead skin cells on the strip, that
Yes.
would be a really easy way to be like, hey girl, like, are you exfoliating?
Absolutely. Anytime I pick a strip up that's just congested with dead cells, I'll literally be like, do you see this? This is why your wax isn't coming out as clean. I would highly suggest, if you're not already doing a dry brush or a sugar scrub, if you were to incorporate it, you would see better results with how clean your wax turns out, less ingrown hairs, less itchiness. So it's kind of nice to be able to have proof and show it to them and then let them decide from there. But I feel like I'm not a very pushy salesperson either. I think I just let the strips talk for themselves, and then I go ahead and plug in the rest of the information I need to.
And then thank you, Kim. And then just Alyssa made a comment here. She's like, watching this makes me feel like I haven't been using the best wax. Valentina's skin isn't very pink. One thing I wanted to highlight is how Bush Beads is so good for sensitive skin. Can you speak on that, Kim?
Definitely. I've used so many waxes in my career. It's endless amount of waxes. I've never worked with something like Bush Beads before. I feel like when we were making Bush Beads, right, we were very careful about the ingredients, careful about all of the different things that I've noticed as a waxer with different waxes is what I didn't want to see in Bush Beads. And that's exactly what Bush Beads is. It's going to be very good for sensitive skin. Other webinars we've done, people will ask, like, how many times have you gone over the skin? And I will say, well, I've been doing this for such a long time that I'm comfortable going over the skin more than 2 to 3 times. But I also watch the skin while I'm working. But I feel like Bush Beads is that. She is that wax that you can use it on areas that maybe you weren't comfortable using it before. So one big example is like going over nipples, going over the butt strip, going over like sensitive areas of the skin, nostrils. This wax will literally pick up every hair, and you will not have your client leaving your table red or pink or irritated. So that's why I guess, in my opinion, like I'm very comfortable using it because I know that the client's safety and their skin is going to be really good. It's a really good wax for SDs, in my opinion. And that's why we're here. And I feel like Valentina could probably speak as the model and also tell me if she likes it. I'm not gonna like promise you I'm not telling her to say these things, but even the first time I used it on her, she was pretty impressed by it, and she was like, wait, this is a new wax, right? So even my clients on the table have noticed, and they're the ones that bring it up. I don't bring it up because we're so busy catching up on life, but they're not afraid to say, whoa, what is going on down there? Something feels different. This wax feels nicer. It feels more luxurious. It feels more just better. It's like an elevated wax for me. It's like a grown-up wax. Like I feel like a grown-up when I use it. But like but definitely feels good. And I appreciate that Bushbalm has created this wax for us SDs, and it's very great.
It's kind of giving like designer bag energy.
No, for real. Like I'm being serious. That's why I'm like, it's giving like seasoned esthetician vibes. Like you're so confident using it, and by the time like you're done with your wax, you're just like, whoa, I feel like I use less wax. The client's skin looks very healthy, and it's just like a very fun experience for both SD and client.
For sure.
Oh,
Okay.
so Corey did her own nostrils and it worked very effective.
I love that. Oh my God. Yeah, so as we wrap up this call, it will be posted on YouTube. Valentina's portion like of her skin is actually not going to be on the recording. It's just going to be Kim talking through everything. And that's the one benefit of joining us in the webinars live, is that you can actually see the demo rather than hearing it. But yes, this will be sent out. And if you did join us in this webinar, you will get the recording sent to you via email. So please be on the lookout for that. We are wrapping up this call now, but if you do have any questions, you can always reach out to Bushbalm Pro via Instagram. You can reach out to us via email at wholesale@mybushbalm.com. And Miss Kim's DMs are always open as well. She loves to help you guys in any way she can.
Yes, always. I'm always available. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. We will also be at IECSC in New York, so I'll be there as well doing waxing demos. So if anyone's going to be there, feel free to come and visit us and let us borrow your hair.
I totally forgot about that. Yes, that is an important message. Kim is going to be joining us at the IACSE New York booth for 3 days. We're at booth 319. We will be doing multiple wax demos a day. You did want to come and test out the wax in person, this trade show is going to be the most incredible opportunity to do so. Andrea, we're going to have to keep the hair. But yeah, so, and yeah, that would be a great time for you to get to see Kim's technique in person. So if you do want to come, we do have a Bushbalm code for IECSC that allows you to get your ticket for 50% off. So if you were looking to join, I can actually drop the code right here that you can use at checkout. I just dropped it there. So if you are looking to come to IECSE New York, you can purchase a ticket for 50% off using the code 431.
Yay!
Yay. Kim, our next wax demo is going to be after IECSE, I believe, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So between now and IECSE, we won't have any other demos. So please join us at the booth. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. And thank you, Valentina.
You're welcome.
Valentina's the best.
Thank you. Thank you so
Sorry, I'm
much.
just gonna see if these. Gabriella, we will be in Dallas, ICES Dallas, but we will not be, Kim will not be joining us for that one, so we won't be doing any wax demos. We have a smaller booth there, so there's just no space, but we will have wax spots with our wax there for you to use. Vanessa, we will be in Long Beach. I guess I can just go ahead and say all the ones we're going to. We're going to New York. We're going to ESI Toronto for all of our Canadian girlies. We will be at Dallas. We will be in Vegas. We will be in Long Beach. And we will maybe be in Florida in the fall. That one we're still in the works. Long Beach is in August. But yes, more information to come. Please reference our newsletters for those. But anyways, thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Have a
Bye.
great day. Thank you. Thank everyone for joining.
Bye.
Bye.